Hey there, and thanks for tuning into Duck Bricks. I'm Chris, aka the Brick Archivist, and today I have yet another massive LEGO haul video. So over the course of the past few weeks, after the winner of the Artaka Cannon contest was announced, I rapidly put out a ton of Bricklink orders to build that for myself, and I figured, why stop there? You might be wondering, I own all the Bionicle sets already, so what was the next logical step? Well, the combiners, of course. And you also may be wondering, well, doesn't that require me to buy every single Bionicle set again and more? The answer to that is yes, but I have tried to price optimize this in the best way possible. What I've essentially done is I've taken all of the loose Bionicle parts I have, tallied them all up, and then compared them against exactly which pieces are needed for combiners, and I've really been mostly just buying pieces, with a few exceptions if I see sets for really cheap, such as the Telemetru, which I found on Bricklink for around $6 to $5 each, so I bought the whole set to make the Kraka model and the Krenua and whatnots, and I actually was able to combine those new Telemetru sets along with my current pieces to make all of the combiners, which normally would have required double the amount of sets, so I would have needed 12 sets. I got it with 6 sets plus some spares. There are some color and part swappings, but honestly it's not a big deal to me. But I guess without further ado, let's go and check out the haul. Alright, so on the desk around me are the models that I've actually taken the opportunity to build, which came in this week, the parts for. You can see obviously all of the 2004 combiners, give or take a few, have been completed, with the Telemetru combiners here, the Vaki combiners here, and of course the Ultimate Duma combiner you can see right here. And this one I actually did get as the actual set version of it. I'm still missing some of the other combiner models. I believe it is the Lorak, which was a type of bird that's using some of the parts here, but I do have quite a few of the parts needed for that, so that should be coming pretty soon, as well as the Matoran combiners, which obviously aren't a huge priority to me. They don't look that great in my opinion, but they are canon, so I will build them. They're just going to be coming at some point. Of course, right in the front here, we have the Melding Universe Pterodax. This has been one I've been so excited to build for the past few months now, and finally all the parts just came in, minus 2 flat dark gold Knights Kingdom armor pieces. Now, I ordered those a few months ago. They still haven't arrived. The Bricklink shipper is being a little bit difficult in terms of figuring out exactly when that's going to work. The tracking number still doesn't register, so I figured, you know what, I have no idea when those are coming. I don't know if I'm gonna have to cancel the order and get a refund, so I just used some warm gold pieces there. They obviously don't fit the color scheme too well, but for the review I'll mention that, and hopefully it won't be too noticeable. But the rest of him is here, and he looks absolutely fantastic. I'm super excited to get to reviewing that. But in terms of these smaller parts orders, I have a parts order of some Technic silver pieces, and I'll pour these all out in a second. But right here, anyone who's familiar with the TTV canonization contest can probably guess what's in this bag. Yes, these are the pieces I've collected so far for the Artaka Cannon contest, and I'm so hyped to build this model. I'm still waiting on a few international orders, but pretty much most of the parts are here, and as soon as they all get here, I'll be ready to start building. But let's address the elephant in the room. This bad boy. So, I have basically been collating all of the orders I've gotten over the past week into this big bag, and I actually had to build these guys first because they just simply wouldn't fit in one bag. So I built these first, I built the Melding Pterodax, and I finally got this bag to somewhat close, but I will be pouring out everything right now. Let's take a look at all the contents. I'm going to walk you through some of the most interesting stuff if people are interested in that. Alright, so after a very thorough washing process, I have all these parts ready to go, and you may notice a ton of the keyed orange parts in here. I actually bought a complete Kitangu, so theoretically a complete Kitangu should be in here, and of course I need the pieces for this to build the Centrak combiner model, as well as the Voparak combiner models. So I bought the Kitangu to do that, and there's a ton of his pieces mixed in here. I'll probably be building that one next, but I've kind of mixed it all together. The other thing that was surprisingly in high demand for my building was the Roxy spines, especially for the Dark Hunters and Rahi that were canonized in the Bionicle books. These were very popular pieces and fans were using these all the time, so in the midst of building my models, I found myself having to steal some from Takanuva's vehicle and the Asanui. So I got a ton just to make sure, and you know what, let's just sort these all out and I will see exactly how many Roxy spines that we have here. You can see I've already gathered quite a few. Alright, so we can see right here all of the Roxy spines. You know what, let's count them out. 48 Roxy spines right here. Do I need 48? Probably not, but you'd be surprised at how many I need because everyone was using a ton of these pieces in the mocks surrounding that kind of time era of Bionicle where people were really only having the parts from 01 to 03 to really play around with and build with the most. So a lot of people were using those, especially for the canonized models. And with that, they were using the Roxy Feet as well. So you can see all sorts of Roxy Feet just scattered around. I'm going to try to come up with these and create a similar sort of pile that I did with the Roxy spines because these feet I've actually had to get quite a lot of. Alright, I'm probably missing some, but it looks like at the front there's most of the Roxy Feet. And yes, there's quite a few of these. And again, oh, there's another one. These are going to be used mostly in creating the canonized Rahi and Dark Hunters as seen in the book, because again, people were using a lot of these pieces to build their own mocks to be canonized. So some other interesting stuff here, you'll notice I've actually gotten 2 of the Manas remote controlled blocks here, and these I actually found pretty cheap because eventually I'm trying to build the Monaco combiner model. Obviously it was kind of just an alternate model of the set, it's not really a combiner, but it combined the 2 Manas into one. Somebody had these for, I believe it was $5 each, so I looked at the price of the Manas, and that's a few hundred, and so I figured why not just get all the pieces that I need to build the combiner, and just forget buying the set a second time. So, I've got these guys here. This should be very, very interesting to play with once it's done. Oh, there's another Roxy spine. But I'm very excited to put that one together. I'm still waiting on a few bricks because I don't actually have that many of the old dark gray Technic pieces. You can see I've gotten a lot of these old dark gray Technic bars, and these definitely go along with the Manas and Monaco that I'm trying to build. So once I'm able to build that up, yep, that's new dark gray. So once I build that up, hopefully I think there's still a lot of pieces that are incoming on that, and specifically some of the colored pieces as well. The yellow and orange were kind of rare and unique to that set. Like for example, this Technic piece here, and probably this one as well, I'm thinking go towards that. So that's why you're going to see the occasional Technic bits and pieces scattered throughout here. The other thing that was very interesting to me to get, personally at least, were the Nuva chest pieces. In fact, I actually needed quite a lot of these. For example, the Melding Pterodax uses 2, Makuta Miserix uses like 4. A lot of builds actually use these Nuva chest pieces quite a lot, so I tried to get as many as I could, and I believe I saw stores selling them for, let's say, relatively cheap, so I tried to get as many as I could, and I'm definitely going to burn through these really, really quickly. I'm definitely going to need to place another order, and I think I do still have quite a few orders coming for the Nuva chest pieces, because that is not enough for what I have in mind in terms of being built. And kind of an oddity here, I got some Knights Kingdom armor pieces. I don't actually own that many of the Knights Kingdom sets, although I actually did just place an order for, I believe, all of them that I don't own, because I was talking to LEGO David on a podcast about it, and he actually convinced me to get the Knights Kingdom sets. But I got some of the armor pieces, and I feel like these are just going to be really interesting to use in Bionicle mocks, and have a lot of really interesting uses, especially this color. I'm familiar with LEGO, but this doesn't seem to be a color that they've used too often, so kind of an interesting piece to me to have, and maybe just useful in my own creations. I think the other thing that is important to focus on here are the amount of masks that I got, masks and headpieces and whatnot. And these are mostly I have in mind for specific models, unless they came with, say, a pre-packaged character or a set that I bought because it was cheap. So grouping all of these together, let's just see what we can find here. Is there any other mask? Oh, there's another Hound Nuva. Gold Nuva armor. I'm sure I got that one. Let's see. Looks like that is mostly it. So these masks I'm planning on really just trying to use for the combiners and canonized models. The Elec head here is for the Pit War Tortoise. It's kind of an interesting build to me. I don't own a second Elec, but I figured that I could probably have this, and I got his spine somewhere else, so I could use that to build it. I've got some Roxy heads for certain builds as well. And then this was just a leftover from one of the Toa Metru sets that I got that was duplicate, but it's always nice to get another Rao. The How Nuvas I actually got because one of the Dark Hunters uses them as shoulder armor. They go on the sides of his shoulders, so I got 2 extra plain How Nuvas, so that'll be nice to use there. These transparent blue Rurus I'm planning on using as the eyes for the insect combiner. I believe it was the Nui Kopen. And the Ranu helmet is actually, I'm going to be used for Kiri, which is a canonized Agori, which was one of the later people who was canonized in the Bionicle story, and I decided to get the helmet as an extra for that. Alright, let's see what else we've got here. A lot of these are pretty much just component limbs that I just wanted to have extras of, or just some unique pieces that I figured would be useful to build with. For example, these Vakama Metru bodies. I know that there is a Dark Hunter who uses these in a pretty unique way. He uses them as hands, so I had to get 2 of these. I think I also got a few extra dark green ones from Matau as well, just in case I could use those for some other builds. I'm sure that some builds will need those. The Vizorek Carapace, I got an extra one to make the Kagarak Combiner model, which obviously goes with this here to kind of mount the piece on, so we've got those going together. And then, of course, I have some of the Vaki headpieces. I know that some of the Rahi and Dark Hunters actually use these as leg armor, which, quite frankly, is actually a pretty unique use of this piece, especially for those builds being kind of the level that they are, being not really that up to par with most Machist builds today. So these are pretty interesting. I know that there's red ones that are coming because there's specifically one that uses them in red. So I'm waiting on that. And we'll just see where that goes. Oh, it's Matau Mask. I'm sure I'll need that for something. And then the Hordika bodies were actually surprisingly used in a lot of the Dark Hunters as well. So I had to get some of the Hordika bodies. Not too many, but at least a good few, which you can see here. And to go along with them, I have some of the unique Hordika limb pieces, like this one right here. Let's kind of just try to group them together. These are always good pieces to have in terms of building stuff up, so have a ton of these I know that are scattered around somewhat throughout here. And I actually already did the review of Makuta Miserix, so, oh well, these didn't come in time for the review, but these red Borak limb pieces, if anyone saw my review of Makuta Miserix, he was missing these in red, and he actually only had them in orange, so they're here now, but came a little too late, but that was the only thing missing for the review, and I'll put them on just to have it for my own collection. Honestly, it didn't detract too much, I hope. And then these, of course, I am making the Tatarak model. I have most of the parts already. I think I was just waiting on a few of these Mata Green stuff, so got a ton of the Mata Green Liwa limbs here, as well as the Liwa body. You can see right here, I know it uses a ton of those, so I'll be using those, as well as the regular Toa Mata limb pieces, specifically for use for the Toa Kaida. I have most of them already built, but some of the limbs are the wrong color. And same goes for like Pohatu's foot attachments here. Also go to the Toa Kaida there, so I've just got a ton of these. There's another Hordika arm there. And we can put those kind of all together because those are in the same general style. Borak bodies are always good to have. I specifically needed these for the melding Pterodox, although I got a few more than I needed just in case there were some other creations that needed those. And let's see here. The Hordika chest plates, needed them for Miserix. I stole them from my Toa Hordika for the review, so these will be going straight into my Toa Hordika that I stole them from. So I will set those aside here to make sure to bring those over. I think this is actually supposed to be for the Artaka build, so I'm going to put this one over here, the Pearl Dark Ray. And I got some of the extra Toa Haga shields in preparation for the next TTV canonization contest, or at least an upcoming one, will be focused on the Toa Haga. And it says that the builds require Haga shields, so I figured I saw them for relatively cheap, and I figured why not just get them while I can, because I know that at least some of the builds will be using them. This is probably for many months down the line. I know those contests are going to be running for a long time, but it's just good to have those because they were cheap from a store. Got an extra Antros wing. I just really actually like this piece in general, and the other thing is it's actually used in the Makuta Spiria combiner model. Not a combiner model I'm a huge fan of, but again, I am trying to own everything, so I got this one. I think the other one is coming at some point. And let's see what else we've got. The Toa Metru armor pieces are always very useful. I know a Dark Hunter used a ton of these older color of brown. I've got some of the gold ones that are very special exclusive to, say, the Toa Iruni set, for example. Another Roxy Foot. Let's see, what else have we got? And yes, as I mentioned, there's a complete Kitongu set in here, so that explains this, and these pieces. And I'll kind of try to, let's say, group all the Keat Orange together, just so I can have it together when I build the Sentrak or Voparak models, whichever one I decide to do first. Alright, oh, there is a dark gray How. This was the one that was used in Takanuva's Asanui vehicle, and I'm actually going to be using this for Toa Krakua, the Toa of Sonics, who was a fan-created but canonized model, so check out a review of that coming very soon. That is why I got that piece right there. And okay, so this is actually a really special one. I got two of these. One of them's in use in the Melding Pterodax right now. But this only appeared in the Toa Likan and Kikanalo set in this flat dark gold color, which is why it is so rare. I paid $5 for this, $10 to get two of these. And that was the only store in the US that had them. So I'm really hoping that the canonized Toa Haga builds don't use this exact color, because if they do, I will be having to find these in Europe or something or other, or even buy another Toa Likan and Kikanalo set just to get this, which is kind of crazy to me. Of course, I'd be able to use the parts for other stuff, but yeah, this piece is really rare, and not a lot of sellers on Bricklink have it, so I'm going to be putting that one somewhere special, just off to the side. These pieces are surprisingly very useful and actually not very common for me, at least. I feel like I've exhausted my supply of these pieces, so I got quite a few more in all sorts of different colors. Obviously, black is the most useful, so I got most of them in that color, but I did get in a few other colors, and yeah, I was surprised at how useful these are in creating stuff. I haven't been really Bionicle mocking too much because I mostly build mocks in CCBS, so it's kind of a surprise to me to see how many people use that. But yeah, it's a pretty good piece to have. Let's just separate all these out from the piles that I've already created here. Speaking of different Roxy, I have a ton of different Roxy spines here, so these are always pretty nice to have and are used for good detailing, so we'll put that there. Also got a ton of these Vaki staffs, the Kirak staffs, because the combiner model for the bird, I think it was a Metru Nui Rahi bird that flies through, actually uses these pieces. So I got a ton of these to use as the wings. I think it's the Lorak is what it is. Uses these as the wings. So got a ton of these because I knew I did not have a lot of these on hand already. And the ever useful Technic block. This one's from the Gecko Bird set, which is why it is in the dark orange color, but a very versatile and useful piece to use. A lot of people love using that. Other oddities, let's kind of group together the feet here. I don't know why I got so many of the Rahaga and whatnot Matoran feet. I don't know why I got so many of those, but in red especially. There must have been some Dark Hunter that used a ton of these that I needed, so actually, I do believe there actually was a Dark Hunter that I needed all of those. That's why I got so many of those. And again, these parts are not too expensive. They're all relatively cheap, except for the ones that I've set out. So it's actually pretty affordable to get a ton of Bionicle parts from Bricklink, especially because a lot of AFOLs don't really know the value of buying up Bionicle stuff. So it's actually pretty nice to be able to get some of this stuff cheap. Ah, yes, and I know there is a Dark Hunter that uses these Technic panel pieces as the heads and the legs of himself, so really unique thing. Did someone give me the wrong... I could have sworn that I ordered the right pairing. This is a little suspect. Man, I don't know which order this is from. I feel, maybe the mistake was on my end, but I feel like I do have the other side of that one, so that might be just a mistake on my end, but... Okay, let's take a look at some of the weapons that I've got here, the tool pieces. So we've got Elec Claws for the Pit War Tortoise. We've got some of the Air Katanas for the Tatarak. Tahu's Flame Sword for Dark Hunters. I don't know why this is in here. I have a ton of those. So the Takanuva Chronicler staff piece. I don't know why I got an extra of that. Oh, it's with Kitangu, that's why. Okay. And let's see, we've got some of the Borak Call shields. I believe these were used for the head or something of one of the Dark Hunters. We've got some, oh, this is very yellowed even after I washed it. Some very yellowed Korok shields, which is kind of unfortunate. That's pretty yellowed right there. Another Vaku head. Some of the silver Pohatu Nuva foot pieces for use in the Nuva Wairui, I think it was, or Akamai combiners. One of the two uses those in silver. Obviously, I mentioned the wing already. And let's see, we've got some claws in different colors. The silver is always a unique piece to have, can be used for very versatile pieces. And we have the very old click joints that were used for some of the very old sets like the Makuta in 2003. Of course, these are for the Dark Hunter Ancient, which I think with these I should have most of the pieces I need to build them. And then some of the Vaki limbs are left over because I bought a ton of the duplicate Vaki to build the combiners. So there's that. And yep, here's one of the built joints that I was just talking about. You can see how that works just like so. I'm going to put that in the bag. Some more Borak bodies. But yeah, that about sums up exactly what's in this pile. Let's do a quick overview and I'll give you a quick sneak peek of kind of the stuff that I'm looking to build with these. Alright, so there you have it. This is my massive Bionicle haul from just this week. And yes, I'm still waiting on about 12 orders from Bricklink to come in for even more Bionicle pieces. That's the reason why these aren't built already. I'm just waiting on some more pieces to build. So some very exciting stuff coming for this channel in terms of Bionicle reviews, specifically the canonized mocks, and maybe I'll even be reviewing some of the special combiner models as well if I see fit. So a ton of really fun Bionicle stuff to see here, and just stay tuned to Duckbricks for even more LEGO news, reviews, updates, and especially stuff pertaining to Bionicle and LEGO story-based themes like Ninjago and so on. Thank you for tuning in, I'll see you next time, and bye-bye for now.